The election of Republican Scott Brown to the Senate seat in Massachusetts held by the late Ted Kennedy is shaking up the political world, and joining us to talk about that is New Mexico political analyst Joe Monahan. Joe, thanks so much for being with us today.
Nice to be with you, Mike.
All right, is this a referendum on the president, health care, or just Massachusetts people saying we need a change?
How about all of the above?
Yeah.
But, you know, I was talking with Dick Niffing and some of the other political junkies, and we all agree that the voters are very upset. It's a big anti-incumbent situation, I think, more than anything else. Look at Mike, around the TV station coming in, you see for sale signs everywhere. Unemployment in New Mexico is in double digits when you count the underemployed. And, of course, around the nation, it's the same thing. A lot of upset, a lot of confusion. And when you get that, you get volatile elections.
And the president has acknowledged that today, that people are angry. Of course, New Mexico is a strongly Democratic state. This is an off-year election coming up in November, and should Democrats in New Mexico be concerned about what happened in Massachusetts, of all places?
I think anybody who's an incumbent, whether they're Republican or Democrat, should be concerned. I think this thing cuts both ways, and yes, I think that this does change the game here somewhat as we speak for the governor's race. Will the mood change again, Mike? 6 months down the road, it very well could, but we're talking about today, and what we were faced with was a somewhat mundane governor's race where Diane Dennis, the presumed Democratic nominee, was plodding along. Everything was going smoothly. The Republicans having trouble getting a big-name candidate in the race. But now Massachusetts changes the dynamics. This is not going to be a mundane governor's race. This is going to take on the air of a more exciting race and one of more interest to the public in light of what happened in Massachusetts.
And, of course, we'll have to wait and see who ends up being the Republican candidate here in June. As far as the other races, let's talk about the U.S. House. Obviously, New Mexico has 3 seats, all Democrats. Is there one of those candidates that needs to be especially concerned?
Well, no question. Southern Congressman Harry Teague is already representing a conservative district as a Democrat, and he has got to be worried that this means that this district is about to go back to the Republicans who held it for 20 years before he just captured it, Mike, 2 years ago. I saw the congressman last night at a legislative dinner in Santa Fe, and I got to say, I'm not a poker player, but what a poker face when I asked him. He wasn't going there, but I think his people are very worried, and they're going to work doubly hard to try to keep that seat.
All right, we've talked about the statewide elections. What about when you get even more localized in the neighborhoods and the communities, talking about state house races this year where 70 seats are up for grabs? Can what happened in Massachusetts, or at least the anger that was shown in Massachusetts, trickle down to even these very, very local races?
Well, the anger tends to dissipate as you go down the ballot, but what can happen, Mike, is if the party at the top gets a lot of the vote out, then those people will vote for those lower ballot races. So say there's a big Republican wave and they get the governor's race in play, that would help them in some of the lower tier races like the state auditor's race and some of those state house races that you can mention. But New Mexico usually sticks with, doesn't usually have a big Republican wave. It usually elects a Republican governor or senator, and most of the focus is at the top of the ticket. And I have a feeling that's the way it would probably play out here if the Democrats are indeed in trouble.
No matter the politics, no matter your politics, it certainly is going to be interesting.
It's going to be fascinating, as always.
Okay, Joe Monahan, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.